Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, councillors, and welcome to this evening's Development Management Committee meeting. Start with apologies for absence and substitutions.
Councillor Sue Giddins, Councillor Mike Garnett, Councillor Mike Hardware, and substitute Simon Carter.
Lovely, thank you. Any declarations of interest? Anybody? No. Minutes which appear on pages 3 to 6 of your agenda paper. Are they agreed? Any matters arising? No. Item 5, written questions. We have none. Item 6, the procedure which we'll use tonight for the consideration of planning applications. First of all, the planning officer will present the report. There will then be the opportunities for members of the public to speak, with 3 maximum against application and 3 for. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to make their presentation. Comments will then be invited from the applicant or agent. Again, those individuals will be allowed 3 minutes to speak, and all of those individuals would have needed to have registered their intention to speak at least 24 hours prior to the meeting with government support section. Following that, councillors will be given the opportunity to ask questions of officers and clarifications, and then officers will respond. Councillors will then debate and make a decision on each application. So moving to item 7 on the agenda paper, which is the land to the rear of 8 the Drive. Mark, if you could make a presentation.
Thank you. This application seeks planning permission for the construction of a semi-detached pair of properties on land to the rear of 8 the Drive. The application site is shown in red. 8 the Drive previously included a bungalow that now consists of a pair of semi-detached dwellings, numbers 8 and 8A, which are to the north of the site. Here. Dwellings here were granted both on appeal and then by the Development Management Committee. On the left you can see the newly constructed dwellings at the top and the proposed dwellings at the bottom, and on the right hand side you can see the proposed dwellings in a bit more detail, so the access, parking spaces and the gardens. Access will be taken from Lavender Close. At the top you can see the proposed dwellings elevations. The houses would form part of the Lavender Close street scene, and it is considered that the proposed design would be compatible with the existing properties within Lavender Close. The street scene at the bottom shows the relationship between the newly constructed properties on the left hand side and 23 Lavender Close, which is on the right, and it's considered that the proposed dwellings would sit appropriately within the site, with the resulting gardens being larger than some of the existing properties in Lavender Close. The Council's arborist has confirmed that none of the trees within the site are worthy of a preservation order, and the trees outside of the site can be retained. Conditions are recommended to require the retained trees to be protected and to require replacement trees. This photo shows the application site from a few days ago. The newly constructed houses are in the background. Concerns have been raised regarding the environmental impacts and flooding. However, any impacts in terms of these topics will be minimal, and neither the appeal scheme nor the proposal, which was previously approved by the committee, raised concerns or issues with those matters. This photo shows the houses in the drive to the east. The nearest dwelling, which is number 11 the drive, would be approximately 15 metres away from the side wall of the proposed building. The dwellings at 7A the drive and 25 Lavender Close would be over 20 metres away. Conditions are recommended to obscure glaze and restrict the openings at first floor level to both the rear and side elevations, which relate to secondary windows or non-habitable rooms, to ensure that the impact on the amenity of the neighbours is acceptable. Part of this wall will need to be removed to facilitate access to the dwellings. The wall is not listed, nor is it protected by any other active mechanism. Each dwelling would have 2 parking spaces in accordance with the parking standards. The proposal would not result in the loss of spaces, particularly given that the access will be taken from a turning head and therefore should be kept clear of parked vehicles, and also to enable access to the driveway to 23 Lavender Close, which is on the right-hand side of that photo. The officer's recommendation is therefore one of approval, subject to the conditions and informatives set out at pages 14 to 17 of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. We have 2 speakers against this application, so I could ask Mrs. Perrin to come forward first, please. Mrs. Perrin, if you could take a seat, press the red button on one of those microphones, and then you'll have 3 minutes to speak once you're ready.
Number 16 Lavender Close applied for a loft conversion under permitted development and was point blankly refused by the council due to the 1994 conditions that were imposed by the Justice of the Peace for the removal of permitted development rights when Lavender Close was built. The council were very strong about quoting the conditions relating to removal of permitted development rights as set out in the 1994 conditions. As this condition is strongly enforced, the council has no option, in my opinion, but to enforce the conditions imposed by the planning inspectorate for the wall, which acts as a secondary boundary between the drive and Lavender Close. The 94 conditions go on to state that the wall cannot be removed, altered or destroyed. If the wall is altered or destroyed, then all other permission refusals must be squashed. Officers have been in full possession of the 94 conditions and have conveniently chosen to overlook them in this case, which is fundamentally wrong. Under Part 11, page 103 of the Harlow Design Guide, Principle DG28, infill development states small-scale residential infill development will be considered against the following criteria. The development should positively respond to the prevailing character of the area by being appropriately designed with regard to intensification. The development should not represent an overdevelopment of this plot. This includes not developing in the gardens of existing dwellings where the result would present an over-intensification of the plot that links to planning policy BE3 stating that building land at a higher density than that existing or previously existing does lead to overdevelopment. Larger garden sites in Harlow have been turned down on grounds of overdevelopment when the sites have been larger, with few proposed properties being added under DG28 front boundary. The front boundary treatment should be consistent with neighbouring properties, including where there are open fronts, and any landscaping and vegetation provided should be complementary. The proposed development is not complementary as the front boundary is not consistent with any of the neighbouring properties in the drive, as none of the other properties are located 2/3 of the way down the side of my garden. The new development is garden gravel and pure and simple. Casual reference is made to report to a common ash needed to be blocked in 7A the drive. For this application to proceed, this tree has a tree preservation protection order. This development will put at risk the root system of the tree, and I do not want the tree to be cut back. I object under policy NE13, there will be a disruption to an underground watercourse. I also object to the grounds of policy H10, loss of amenity. Why should I and other residents lose the amenity of gardens through increased risk of flooding and loss of privacy? I object on grounds of policy SD3. The sequential test has not been met and priority to existing buildings and developing land has not been given. I object on the grounds of increased noise pollution to loss of amenity under planning policy BE17. The current proposal makes no attempt to reduce increased noise pollution from increased car flow or general living noise.
Sorry,
I only have one more item to say.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Fandrick, could I ask you to come forward? Again, you'll have 3 minutes.
Which button is it?
Red one, yeah.
Could you come a little bit forward, please? I find it difficult to do the appellation.
Is that,
Thank you.
can you hear that?
That's
Okay, thanks. Again, I have a number of objections and concerns with the proposed development. There seems to have been an intent on council on assisting the developers in getting this property through by any means possible within level of adjusted plans. I question where and when the council represents the individuals who live and pay taxes in this jurisdiction. We object to the council's opinion that it is not unacceptably high density and overdevelopment of the site. This is absolutely and without a doubt garden grabbing. It's in direct contravention of sections H10, BE3 of the Adopted Replacement Harlow Local Plan and Principle DG28 of the Supplementary Planning Guidance. I do not have time to quote the sections, but I ask that the councillors refer. Again, these are sections H10, BE3 and DG28. BE3 and DG28 have not been noted in the council's report. This is without a doubt infill development. It absolutely will have an unacceptable adverse effect on the character of the locality, and you have 15 objections from residents backing this up. We are the people this development will affect every single day, not the council nor the developer. If planning is approved, this plot will have gone from a one-house plot to a four-house plot. I question seriously how the council cannot claim this to be overdevelopment and garden grabbing. Perhaps now is also a good time to note that one of the properties now developed at 8 The Drive stands empty. I would also like to raise something that has not been addressed in council's report, and that is the decision taken by the Planning Inspectorate in September 1994, whereby approval was given for 35 dwellings on Lavender Close and not 37 as originally submitted. This is of importance as the extra 2 were to be at this location. This was due to seeing of reasons of infill and overdevelopment. I urge the councillors to consider this decision, which the planning department has omitted to raise. One point of this decision to which I refer, and I quote, "A site can be overdeveloped if the number of houses proposed cannot be accommodated without identifiable harm to existing or proposed residents or detriment to the character or appearance of the locality." The 2 extra dwellings were refused. This proposal is absolutely a detriment to the quality, character and amenity of the area. It is overdevelopment and over-intensification. It would demonstrably harm the amenities enjoyed by local residents, of which I am obviously one. Are the hundreds of homes the council has recently approved not sufficient that this town needs to start garden grabbing? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, questions? You can. Yep. I've got the master switch under the diary. Any questions?
I would like to know what the final point from that from the lady who spoke first.
I think it's broken up.
No, I had another point. I did have another point.
I would like to know what that point was.
She ran out of time.
Yeah, but I've got a question. I don't know what that lady is wanting to say, and I would like to hear what she says. So I'm asking a question whether it's possible for us to ascertain what the final point was from the lady that was giving the presentation.
Yes.
It seemed to me to be unreasonable.
What was your final point?
Yes, we
please.
won't hear otherwise.
Yeah, just
The last...
Press it again.
Sorry, beg pardon, sorry. It was just, I objected on the grounds of increased light pollution under planning policy BE16. This proposal has provided no screening or deflecting has been of pollution into surrounding gardens and my garden of an evening. Also, there has been a question about security. I am open to a security breach should that wall go down, and the council deemed it right that once one of those properties is occupied, then a security wall will be security fencing will be put up. So how long does that place stand empty while my house is open to security risk? Okay. Thank you.
Questions, councillors? Councillor Davis.
Can I know what number of house the lady lives at?
7A. One with two, flat two.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Tony?
One other question just related to the wall that was mentioned, that wall there. and it was intimated that if I understood what the lady was saying, that previously, when that wall had been built, that it couldn't be knocked down under planning law, if I understood it correctly.
I think the statement that was made was that the planning inspectorate in '94
Yes.
had made a decision. Obviously, there's been a subsequent planning application and an inspector's decision. Do you want to explain it?
I do have the precise wording of the condition here, but I think the fundamental thing is, regardless of what the condition said on the historic planning application, it doesn't fetter the ability for someone to submit another application for something else and for us to consider that.
Thank you.
Debate?
Well, could you just elaborate? Sorry.
Question? Councillor Clark.
Yeah, yes, it is a question. Could you just go through this issue of the wall, because I find it difficult to follow initially. I've been to see it, I've seen the wall. I understand the security aspect, but there's the whole appeal process which I don't understand.
Well, the condition, so when the inspector does a report, he concluded that a brick wall, a solid brick wall was required, so that it should be 1.8 metres in a certain position, and the details of that should be submitted to and approved by the local planning authority. The key thing is, though, that was done in 1994 as part of that planning application, and we are duty bound to consider this planning application regardless of what conditions were imposed before. In terms of making this development acceptable now, they'll obviously have to punch a hole through the wall to create the access. But as is recommended as a condition, there'll be boundary treatments which can be put up, which will obviously enable 7A to have a completely bound access. So a fence could go up or a wall to make sure that they were fully enclosed on all sides.
Councillor Holcombe.
So the type of safety barrier, we'll call it, that goes up, that will go up immediately during the times where they're not working, and then properly, potentially a brickwork built one, as soon as they've actually finished the development, and that secure brick wall is back up. Because if there's gaps in between where they're not doing that, that house 7A is now then going to be insecure.
So the condition as we've recommended it is condition 4. So it says a scheme for boundary treatment, and we specifically refer to the western side boundary, and we specifically refer to 7A in the reason, shall be submitted to and approved in writing by the local planning authority. The boundary treatment shall be constructed as we approve them prior to first occupation of either of the proposed dwellings. So it's saying before anyone occupies those dwellings, they would have to put it to effect the boundary treatment which we approve.
When they're not working, because
Microphone, please.
when they're not working, when they've left the site on a daily basis, have they then got to put up some temporary security so that house is not exposed, security-wise?
No, because there's nothing to specify controls through the construction period. If you wanted to, you could put on a construction method statement, and then that could require us to require them to put up a temporary hoarding or something while they're constructing it, or condition 4 could be amended to say that after they punch through the hole, that then the boundary treatment would have to be done at that point.
I mean, I think something has got to be put in so that security, that house and that garden is viable from the time they start punching through, leaving it on a daily basis, weekend as well, when they're not working, especially on a Sunday, and then reintroducing it when they've finished, but making sure that house is secure the whole time they're doing the treatment.
Okay, so could I suggest you move in the debate a suitable amendment?
Yeah.
Any more questions? Councillor Davis?
I was on this committee before when this came to us, and I understand people were saying at the time there was a spring in the garden that would could prevent building houses, but could also cause problems with flooding. Is there a spring in the garden?
I'd have to check the previous report. The reason why I've not gone into it in more detail is fundamentally when it was assessed before, and because of the scale of the development only being a limited number of dwellings, it wasn't seen that there would be a significant impact on drainage or flooding or anything like that. It was approved previously with none of those, that being raised as really any issues in any detail.
I think it was approved because it didn't cover that part of land. It was further up towards the north, so it didn't affect it. I think it might do now, but that will come out in debate, I imagine.
Questions? No? Debate. Let's start.
But there's just one other question.
Question, Councillor Clark?
So, the house is up for sale, and I'm wondering if the assurances that have been given are being given by the present owners of the properties or future ones,
The assurances for what, sorry?
future owners of the property.
Assurances for what, Councillor Clark?
Pardon?
What assurances? Which assurances are we talking about?
All I'm saying is the owners of the property, there are two existing houses that we can see in the background, the new ones, and I'm assuming that when they say for sale, that the sale refers to those two properties and not the two that haven't even got planning permission yet. So all I'm saying is it the present occupiers or future occupiers if it's up for sale, because of the importance of if they're making a number of guarantees
Well, I
or
think
meeting conditions.
irrelevant of the ownership of the land, the planning application is assessed on what's put before us, and if the
Yeah.
ownership changes, the relevant
They will have
conditions
to.
will transfer to whoever owns it.
Mm.
So the ownership isn't a material issue which we can deal with.
Okay.
We've assessed the impact as if there were occupiers there anyway. So we've taken into account there being occupiers of 8 and 8A.
The planning application runs with the land, not who owns it. So the conditions are binding for the land.
Yeah.
So regardless of who owns it, the conditions are binding for the land.
So if the ownership is immaterial, because
Okay.
it's the application we're granting regardless of who owns it. Any more questions? No? Debate then. Councillor Souter.
Thank you, Chair. I don't like this. I think this is overdevelopment. I still think there's going to be a problem regarding the wall and the turning circle, so I'll be voting against it.
Councillor Clark.
Yes, I agree. I think it is a clear case of overdevelopment, over-intensification, as the objectors said. It's a case of garden grabbing as far as I'm concerned on a massive scale. This is a quiet area, very quiet actually, and we have existing trees and landscaping vegetation, and it changes the character. The two extra houses there would change completely the character of that little area, which just runs alongside the houses and opposite some of the drive in itself. there is the question of the trees, which I'm concerned about. I am concerned about the general wildlife areas that are mentioned here in particular. I see that there clearly is a problem of overlooking in that there are so many conditions mentioning this that one realises that the undesirable overlooking is in existence because it's so necessary to have so many conditions to protect it. I think those are, so, I mean, basically, it's not in character with it's incompatible with the character of the existing area. Thank you.
Councillor Clark.
So,
Anybody else? Councillor Holcock.
Thank you. I'm not happy with this at all either, but I think if we turn it down here, the appeal would go against us as a council because we have approved a two-bed situation before on the last planning application. And I'd still, if it does get voted through this evening, I'd still want to make sure that boundary wall front in front of 7A is made secure during the build and immediately at the end of the build. So that would be an extra add-on to that condition 4.
So you're proposing an amendment?
Yeah.
Thank you. Is that amendment seconded?
Yes, I'll take it.
Thank you.
yeah, seconded in case.
Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Chair. I think I was a member of this Development Management Committee when this first came to build the two houses, first came to this committee, and I remember a lot of residents actually attending the meeting and complaining and asking different questions. They were asking about would they eventually come through and knock that wall down, and I think we were told at the time no, because there were no plans to do that. There were questions about the gardens of the houses that were built, that the developer said, oh, there'd be a big area for the gardens and everyone would be happy, but now that's going to disappear. I think this is a complete disruption for the residents of Lavender Close. Now, I live in the area, I live in Commonfield, which is not exactly there, but it's not far away, and I know what the area is like. I think the lady's quite true. I think it's overdevelopment, and I would object on H10, BE3 and DG28.
Anybody else? No. In that case, we will move to a vote. So first of all, if we could vote on Councillor Holcock's amendment, which is to put in an extra condition around securing 7A during the build, and we'll work out the exact wording post the meeting, but I think that is what you're looking for.
Yeah, amend condition 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so officers suggesting we amend condition 4. Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
All those in favour? That's agreed. So all those in favour of the recommendations which appear on pages 14 to 16 of your order paper, recommendations 1 to 13 with 4 being amended as agreed earlier, please indicate. 2, and all those against. That is refused, and I think we have the grounds as indicated by Councillor Davis. Okay.